Kia ora and welcome to Just One More Watch. I've gone full NZ today for my first review of a watch by Draken, and a watch that I guarantee will make you smile when I take it out the packet in just a minute or two. It's their new Aoraki field watch, and it's their first watch assembled in New Zealand. Draken, if you weren't aware, are a New Zealand brand, but the owner Michael was originally from South Africa. And up until this point, he has given all of his watches South African names. The shift to this Maori name, it's the original name of New Zealand's highest mountain, also known as Mount Cook, reflects the new local assembly. And Michael's personal transition to finally becoming a local. Now, I have featured a Draken before on the channel in an episode of Loom Wars many years ago, and it did rather well, but this is the first time I've given one the full review treatment. You saw the pop-up? This video is sponsored by Draken. I will of course therefore leave a link in the description of the video to this watch. These are currently on pre-order for $350 US, shipping next month, May 2023. If you're watching this video in June 2023 or beyond, I'm sorry, the price went up. You should have been here earlier. Let's flip the camera and have a look at it. Okay, are you ready to smile? Honestly, I have unboxed a lot of watches. I'm not an easy man to please these days, but I definitely enjoyed this one. Draken are now what I would describe as a mature micro brand. I believe this is their 7th watch, and when you're that far down the track, you begin to hone in on the little things that make a difference to your customer experience, and you're about to see one of those. It's definitely not this plain cardboard box with the Draken logo stamped on it. It's this green pouch, and when you open it, you're met with an intriguing little piece of bamboo telling you to pull. And when you pull, you just can't help but smile when your watch and the 2 straps that come with it are revealed to you. Even the hard-bitten cynics amongst you, I'm sure, will admit that's pretty neat. This was originally designed as a mobile phone holder, perhaps in the days of slightly smaller mobile phones. There is a Velcro patch with an image of Aoraki on it that can be removed and stuck elsewhere if you like, and that front flap is held in place with Velcro. Serious Velcro. I mean, listen to this. It's got a plastic loop on the back and 2 press clips, meaning you can attach it to your rucksack if you intend to emulate Hillary and climb some serious hills. Anyway, back to the watch. This is Michael's first field watch. It's his smallest watch to date, and he set out to ensure that it is super clean and legible, and in this Vector variant, I think he achieved that perfectly. There are, however, another 3 versions of this watch to choose from. Draken aren't the first Antipodean company to do this. 1 case, 4 dials. Houtman did it recently with a slightly larger field style watch. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? He's producing 100 of each. Chances are he'll sell more watches than if he produced 400 of one particular dial, I reckon. So Vector, Flieger, Milspec and Zulu, all available depending on your personal preference, all for $350 US on pre-order. All 4 watches have different dials but essentially the same dimensions and specifications, those being 38.5mm in diameter, 12.6mm thick, 46mm lug to lug, 20mm lug width. And on this single piece nylon strap, this one weighs in at 85 grams. Now that is actually quite chunky for a smallish watch on a strap that weighs essentially nothing. There is a reason for that. It has a thick-walled anti-magnetic case and movement holder. I'll show you as much as I can, as quickly as I can. The crystal is flat sapphire, the water resistance is 100 meters from a screw-down crown featuring quality Viton gaskets, and the movement is a Miyota 82S5. In fact, let's have a look at the movement early today. Nothing to see with the case back really, very plain, very functional. Stainless steel screw down, small spec sheet around the outer edges. Now this watch may have been assembled in New Zealand, but it was disassembled in Australia. That is the 82S5. It's one of Miyota's premium 8000 series, so it gets that skeletonized rotor and the Tokyo stripes on the main plate. But if you look beyond the movement, you can see just how thick the movement holder and the case are. No wonder it resists the charms of magnetic fields. 21 joule, hacking and hand winding, 40-hour power reserve, only a 3Hz beat rate, but you don't notice that because of the small second complication. It's Draken's first field watch. It's also their first watch featuring entirely brushed surfaces, no polished or coated or bead blasted anywhere, which I think is entirely appropriate. The finish is really good. Now, if you notice, the case flares out from the bottom just a little bit. The first surface of the step bezel changes that angle slightly before the second brings it in towards the dial. The third surface is flat, has a circular brush, and is home to the flat sapphire crystal. Now, you have no doubt noted the brand name etched into the side of the case, more on that later. You have also no doubt noted the drilled lugs. But the holes sit relatively high, meaning the watch sits relatively low. Again, a nice little touch. The crown at 4:15-ish is because of the movement choice. If they kept the position at 3, then the small second would have been at 4:30, ruining the Dirty Dozen look. The crown itself is knurled and super grippy and features the Draken Dragon logo. Now, you've probably guessed it already, that logo is loomed. Again, I'll show you that shortly. Overall, the case finish is very simple but very nice, which is just how it should be. Couple of straps in the box. The Bund is a two-piece, giving you the ability to ditch the back plate if you want to. The leather itself isn't branded, but the hardware is. It's quite thin, which is a good thing because of those 2 layers, but it's comfortable. It's a nice shade of brown and looks like it will age well too. The green nylon also looks like it will age well. It's really well stitched. I like the ribbing running the length of it, and the hardware is all brushed, of course, to match the watch head. Plenty of holes in this one as well, so the bigger wristed will be catered for, and the smaller wristed will be able to tuck that tail in when it's on wrist. Dial and hands then of this Vector version, all very simple, all just printed on. Arabic numerals at the 12, 3, 6 and 9, and long pointed tipped batons everywhere else, with printed minute markers at the edge of the dial. It's a sector small second above the 6 now, only the 5 seconds are marked there. I guess to keep the dial clean, but if you're trying to time something to the second, probably best use another watch. It's a good handset though, all cleanly cut, no rough edges. Dead flat with a brushed upper surface, of course. The minute hand mimics the indices, the hour hand is an arrowhead. I think they're well proportioned and add to the legibility overall. Branding is minimal with the Draken name and logo above the pinion and the small second indicator, reducing the chances of 4 lines of unnecessary text beneath it. There is one little piece of text though that is all important on the angled stainless brushed finished chapter ring, and that is assembled in New Zealand. Loom is pretty decent considering it's an affordable field watch with a printed dial. The colour used will vary depending on dial chosen, so do check with the Draken website for more details. This Vector appears to have mostly X1 grade C3, but with a little bit of BGW9 for those Arabic numerals. When I turn the speed up, the printed dial fades first, but the hands hang on in there quite well. And the glowing dragon on the crown is a neat touch. I think it's been a recurring feature on all of their watches so far, this Loom crown. Yeah, very nice. On wrist, it is pretty chunky, especially on the Bund. It's a sub 40mm watch, but definitely has some presence because of the minimal bezel and the clean, crisp dial. 20mm lug width, clean dial, drilled lugs. This thing will be a total strap monster if you have a collection of appropriately sized NATOs, leathers, rubbers, whatever really. And here it is without the leather backplate. If you have a smaller wrist, this is probably going to be more suitable for you. If you just can't stand Bund straps, this is probably going to be more suitable for you also. And here's the third option, the green nylon. The ribbing is nice, the hardware is good on this, and it's long enough that you can do that double tuck thing rather than having to stare at the sealed end all day long. Legibility is good regardless of the strap, obviously, and the fact that they've chosen single pass means it doesn't sit up too far on wrist and so is less likely to bobble around as a consequence. Back on the Bund for the pocket shot, this definitely is quite a specific look, but in the unlikely event that you are mountaineering or something, it will at least keep your watch firmly in place on your wrist. Moans and niggles. Look, I don't really have an awful lot to complain about with this one. There's nothing radical about the design, obviously that's not the point. Some people might find the simplicity a turn off, but they're probably not into field watches in the first place as a consequence. Bund straps are definitely polarizing though, of that there is no doubt. I think Michael's been quite clever working around that, offering the option but on a single pass leather so the back pad can be removed altogether, plus giving a second strap in the box as well. The case engraving is also going to be a bit polarizing. I'm not normally a fan of this myself. Having said that, this is probably one of the nicest applications that I've seen. I grudgingly admit that it kind of suits the watch, but I still preferred it if they hadn't bothered. And the Miyota 8000 series allows the small second Dirty Dozen look, but it only winds in one direction, meaning you do get this rotor spinning. It's not too bad with the Aoraki though, because the case and movement holder are as chunky as you saw earlier. And finally, the price. I think the pre-order price of $350 is pretty good. I think that stacks up well against the competition. The full RRP is $50 more than that. Obviously not quite as great. That pushes it into Hamilton territory. So as always, if you're looking at this one, get in early to get the best price. Overall though, it's an impressive little watch. The fact that I can't find anything of real consequence to complain about shows Draken's maturity as a brand and the experience that comes with producing 6 models prior to this one. You iron out the kinks while also adding neat touches such as the lume crown, the drilled lug positioning and the entertaining packaging. Sure, there are plenty of other field watches out there, but this is the only one from the land of the long white cloud. So there you have it, a really neat and tidy offering from Draken. Whilst the designs are not particularly new, it does at least bring something new to their model lineup. I think the pre-order price is very fair, especially for a watch assembled outside of Asia. If you're watching this when the pre-order period has ended, then the retail price is a bit closer to some of its competitors. While you're here, you probably should have a look at some of its competitors, shouldn't you? Click here or here. Thanks for watching this one. I'll see you all again in a future video, I hope.